was a fighter. The word retreat was not in Frank's vocabulary. He and he alone would decide when it was time to move on. Sadly, that time has arrived. Frank's battle began in 1943 in Heart Mountain when the so-called loyalty questionnaire was circulated, ostensibly to help the government determine who among us could be trusted and who could not. But in reality, it was an overt, personalized assault on our citizenship status and the government's second step in their mind control program, which was instigated by EO 9066. Earlier, we had been disenfranchised by EO 9066, which unconstitutionally rendered us physically, materially, and politically powerless. We had naively cooperated in the violation of our inalienable rights. Under the falsified claim, it was of military necessity, and such cooperation would constitute proof of our faith in our government. Little did we suspect the government would further exploit our willingness to be cooperative by allowing us to incriminate ourselves with a questionnaire which would render the protections inherent in the U.S. Constitution meaningless. Kay Ochi and Frank Emi in Heart Mountain and James Omura of the Denver Rocky Shinpo warned the inhabitants of the camp of the government's ploy to shift the onus of our demise away from the government and on to the victims.
His younger brother Art remembered a story. I remember once, though, Art says, and begins again. See, my dad used to get up at 2 in the morning and go to the wholesale produce market in L.A. to buy produce for the market in San Fernando. He used to come home and take a nap in the afternoon. The two of us were on the front porch making a hell of a racket. When we wore overalls and the window opened. And when the window opened, Dad just got me by the overalls and pulled me in the window. Frank was on the other side of the block already. My reactions were faster, said Frank. I think Frank is most like my father, Yanosuke Kaoru says, his sister. I guess it makes a difference, because he was the oldest and my dad had to rely on him for interpreting. He had to do most of that for my father when it came to the nitty-gritty. My dad was very strict with us, Frank says. He used to beat me up after work. I remember he used to take me out at night, and we lived near the wash, the San Fernando wash, near the river. He'd take me out to the wash and leave me there. He was more intense than in everything he did, Art says. I guess I was a little more rebellious, says Frank. I was more easygoing. I'm not him, see, Art says. We're driving along, and he and I decided to go fishing.
Which many of you are probably not aware of. And it's probably one of the reasons that I will probably never forget Emi Sensei. Many years ago, when I first joined Hollywood Dojo, first of all, I couldn't find the dojo. And the reason I couldn't find the dojo, it was on a residential area. The actual dojo itself was in an old building in the back of a vacant lot. So after driving by about 3 or 4 times, I stopped and asked somebody if they knew where the judo club was. And thankfully, the person knew where the judo club was. Well, to describe the judo club as a haunted house would probably be a mild description of the building. We had no air conditioning, we had no heater, and I sometimes wondered why Emi Sensei kept us working out in this building. And it finally dawned on me that if we could survive in that environment, we would be strong judoka. But anyway, I guess we just got too old and weak, because Emi Sensei finally decided that we're not going to stay in this old building. And what he did single-handedly was to plan, purchase, and coordinate the building of a new judo dojo at the Japanese Cultural Center area. And so today, we're fortunate enough to have an air-conditioned, heated dojo with 2 dressing rooms, one for females, and also 2 restroom areas. So Emi Sensei, wherever you are now, whenever I work out in the dojo, I will remember you very clearly.